Okay, so today I'm getting the train to Kharkov. Biggest gripe about trains in Ukraine, you have to go to an individual window. And because the writing is always in Russian, it's very difficult to work out which window to go to. So now I have to figure that one out. You see? Different windows. You can't just go to this, you can't go to one, queue up, ask for a ticket. Impossible. That would be too easy. Hey, so here I am in Kharkiv. It's about 250 miles, 300 miles east of Kiev. Just spent the last 5.5 hours on a train from Kiev. Now, I've got to find some place to stay. I've got to find some place to, so I'm going to head towards the center. Let's see what happens. No taxis or buses as soon as I exit the station. Nice station though. Look at this. Almost looks like tusks. It's not tusks though, but it looks like tusks. Nice square. Hey, so it's my first real day in Kharkiv. I'm staying in a place just north of the Kharkiv Zoo. But what I've observed straight away is the fact that I seem to be in a neighborhood where there's very few Ukrainian people. This is the first time I've experienced this in Ukraine. Most people seem to be from the Middle East, and maybe it's because I chose a cheap accommodation, I'm not sure, but I'm slightly surprised by this fact. I mean, it's not an issue, but I'm very surprised. Maybe the migrant crisis has impacted Ukraine to the extent that I wasn't aware. I'll do a little bit of investigating. just been inside the Temple of Mirror Bearers. It's a modern church, interesting design, very beautiful. What's interesting, having just done some reading on the church, a lot of people didn't want this church built. Effectively, it's been built on a square. As you can see behind me, there's a fountain called the Mirrored Fountain. There's basically mirrors behind that fountain. Locals would have preferred a massive square, but instead they got another Orthodox church. According to some of the comments, they think that those responsible for building all these churches in Kharkiv have a lot of sins to sort of forgive, so this is their way of making up for it. Apparently, there's a lot of Orthodox churches, and this is one too many according to some. However, I think it's a rather grand statement, and despite being an atheist, it's actually rather beautiful in a sort of gold-plated Orthodox way. I love how random this is. There's just two tanks in the middle of the city. But this is a tank you don't often see. This is a beautiful, beautiful tank. So let's go have a look.
I feed the pigeons, I sometimes feed the sparrows too. It gives me a sense of enormous well-being.
So I'm in another monastery. Right in the centre of Kharkiv is this massive monastery, basically priests from the Orthodox religion. They have a certain style about them. I've seen some priests walking around in leather jackets, nice crosses hanging from their necks. It's quite stylish. A lot of respect for them. They certainly win in the style stakes when it comes to most religions.
I have questions, doubts.
The devil comes in many shapes, many shapes, many shapes.
The war is long over. You and the other priests did your jobs.
So I just sat inside a Orthodox service, not for the entire service, but for a large chunk of it. There's a lot of rituals and chanting in the Orthodox religion. There was a lot of bowing, a lot of sort of chanting along with the priest, who sounds very harmonious when he's going blah 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 blah. Obviously, he sounds very impressive. Yeah, it's a nice way. Look at this guy. It's a nice outfit he's got on. But yeah, it's certainly worth checking out if you're in here in Kharkov. It's Kharkov. Well, once again, another cathedral. That actually was a cathedral. Apologise, couldn't really film as I go inside. Every sort of church does have a sign that says no filming. Sometimes I do film, but it was very eerily quiet in there. Not usually open according to some of the TripAdvisor reviews, so in theory I was lucky to hear it. You hear the bells sort of dinging as we speak, and just as I say that, it stops. There's an impressive organ in there for those fans of churches. I know I have one friend that is, Graham Fulis. I'm sure you probably appreciate playing in the organ in that impressive cathedral behind me. Go see. Well, TripAdvisor was right. Kharkov is definitely a city of cathedrals. This is another one. This is the Annunciation Cathedral, right on the other side of the riverbank. You would have just seen from the picture. It apparently isn't that old. Apparently it was only built in the last 30 to 40 years. But a lot of craftsmanship's gone into it, and it's apparently worth seeing. So I'm going to go see if I can step inside. If I can film, I can film. If not, you'll just have to take my word for it. But it looks good from the outside. First impressions of Kharkov, it's a city of contrasts. There's some very well manicured parts, like this for example. This is the sort of main park just south of the zoo, and there's also a lot of just sort of random bits of city, especially you cross over the bank, head towards the train station. It's a little bit less pretty around there, but overall, so far I'm very impressed with the city. It's a very beautiful city, nice people are friendly. I've asked for directions a couple of times. I always try to do that, even if the map tells you something, it just gives you an insight into who the people are. Obviously you can get lucky. There's always one bad egg in a basket of eggs, but yeah, it's a beautiful city. So I will keep exploring. The sun is setting, so I will explore the night later.
Всегда окружают такие замечательные подружки. С днем рождения! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. On the ground, I got no roots. On my home was never on the ground. I got no roots. I've got no roots.
Okay, a bit of an update on why the area that I'm sort of currently living in Kharkiv is very Middle Eastern. There's a lot of there's a big hospital near me, and some of them are university students, some are students at another university. So it's a big student population around here, very diverse. I think what sort of surprised me yesterday was like everywhere I've been in Ukraine so far is generally Ukrainian people. Here is a massive exception to the rule. Just sort of look over here. I mean, obviously you can't really zoom there, but real sort of, it feels very international here. It's and from my impressions, a very, very nice city. Look behind me. There's basically a queue for a bus, and they say the Brits are good at queuing. You would never see this in London. See the queue? It's a sort of that's an impressive queue. I like that. London, can you not be like Kharkiv, please? As you see behind me, in front of obviously this very impressive building, is basically a army setup, basically raising monies by volunteers for the Ukrainian army. That is basically, how many times will I say basically? I will stop now. They are fighting a sort of a civil war to the east of Ukraine, which you're probably very familiar with. The front line is only 175 to 200 kilometers away. Sporadic breakouts of violence happens, and they're still fighting a war that's basically it's a war that's been has happened because of the European Union's lack of intervention. It's a war that's happened because of the European Union's propaganda that it pushes onto the Ukrainian people, and then it basically pushes the Russian bear into the corner. That Russian bear, if you keep prodding it, is going to suddenly snap and fight back, and sadly it's now a civil war has been happening in the Ukraine for the last 3 years, and many people have died. And this over here is them basically trying to raise funds for that civil war. Hey, so I try and avoid the wind. It's a little bit windy at the moment. I'm in this park called Maxim Gorky Park. It's basically the north side of Kharkiv, or Kharkov. Translation keeps getting corrected by multiple people, so I will keep saying a different way, Kharkiv or Kharkov. It's a free amusement park, this. They're quite into this in the Eastern European countries, I've noticed. You just saw the Batmobile back there, got Ferris wheels, we've got like amusement sort of arcades, shooting arcades, roller coasters. I mean, all sort of very basic stuff, but it's, you know what, it's kind of nice. It's a beautiful park, and look at the winter colours of this park. Although it's autumn now, basically the beginning of October, and the park is glorious. A little bit cold. I've also got a scarf on, but this is a free park, and well, who can complain about that? So there's the problem. Some parts of the world, they still deal in the trade of exotic animals. Here, Zooland, one of these such places. Now, while at the same time it's beautiful to see some amazing animals, if anything, the entire experience, I find it very upsetting. Not because I'm a pussy or anything, but because I don't think we should be dealing in exotic animals. And basically use them as commodities. The big green iguana that you saw there, 14,000 hryvnia is £400. That's about $500 if you wanted to buy a big green iguana. Having worked as a volunteer in Honduras on a little island called Utila just 10 years ago now, there we were basically preserving the green iguana. It was seen as a delicacy in Central America and some parts of the world. People actually eat them. There we basically looked after the swamper iguana and the green iguana, and I think there was another type of iguana. It will escape me now. I'll have to post a name below. But these animals need to be left in the wild. And if they're not left in the wild, they need to be being looked after by conservationists so they can be later released back into the wild. They should not be pets. It's the highest bidder. Do I disagree with the keeping of pets? No, of course I don't. There's certain animals that are clearly always going to be pets. The domestic guinea pig, the domestic rabbit, the domestic dog, the domestic cat. Should you ever buy these animals from a pet store? No, you should not. Never buy an animal from a pet store. Because as soon as you treat an animal as a commodity, that's all they become. They are just commodities. Animals, if you must have a pet, you can get them from you can get them as a rescue pet. There's enough animals being put down almost every day around the globe by vets because simply there aren't enough people to look after them. You never need to buy a pet from a pet shop. Anyway, there's my rant. Okay, this is quite the park. This park has a gym, table tennis, football courts. It has people in cable cars. People in cable cars. It even has a skate park. It has the Ferris wheel. I think the person that designed this park, be it the mayor, be it the city council, was a fan of the game's theme park, because this is a nice park. As you can see behind me, there's a worker. They got the sort of unthankful task of basically clearing up all the leaves, because at the moment it is the beginning of autumn and all the trees are dropping their leaves. And I've seen dozens and dozens of people walking around with bin bags, basically putting all the leaves in the bin bags. But they're going to have to do that for the next few weeks because there's so many trees around here. But this is a beautifully maintained park. And wow, yeah, I mean, growing up as a kid around near Cambridge, I dreamed of having a skate park. There was one skate ramp in the entire Cambridge in the 90s. I now know there's a lot more than one skate park in Cambridge, but in the 90s there was nothing. But in Kharkiv, this park has it all. Man, I wish I had a skateboard with me. This is awesome. I mean, every city needs to have a skate park like this. Keeps the kids out of trouble. Good for you, good exercise. You might sprain an ankle occasionally, you might break a bone, but it's nothing but good for you. As it started raining, I found England. Well, in actual fact, I found London. Telephone box, horse guards, and some sort of ride. But given the fact that almost no one's here, it's closed, I think. Or maybe I could personally go on it, I'm not sure. But it's some sort of London ride, and it's raining. Is this a London pub in disguise? It's quite nice. It does remind me of home. I like that. Could be my favorite ride. Okay, so the reason everything seems closed, one, it's a Friday, so everyone's at work. Two, this place stays open until midnight, so a lot of people come down here during the night and they ride things like this Colosseum. But it's I imagine it's a nice place for the families. It's a good place probably Saturdays and Sundays, and it's a nice place when the weather's nice. It's honestly, I've seen some really run down parks before, and I've certainly seen my fair share in Eastern Europe, and certainly around the world. This is incredibly well maintained. It's kitsch, but at the same time quaint, at the same time quite pretty. And if you just observe the autumn colours, the variety of trees around here, we move away from the theme park area, is quite, it's beautiful. I mean, the camera really won't pick it up that well, but this such a magnitude of colours, and it truly is a nice little place. And you know what? It's completely free to get in here. There's no charge. You don't have to pay. There's roller coasters. I think this is a log ride. There's actually a portable log ride here. Clearly it's not working right now, but that is a portable log ride. Favourite of Princess Diana, if you remember that. And they're still building. So this is an expanding park. This is not a park in decline. Good luck to them, I say. Walking around the entire park, I reckon there's about 100 people sweeping up leaves. Impressive way to spend tax money. No, I don't object, to be honest, because it makes someone employed, and it also makes the place look extremely nice. And they're doing a great job. They're doing a really good job. And there we are. There's Gorky Maxim Park. Beautiful park. That should be Maxim Gorky Park, not Gorky Maxim Park. So Maxim Gorky Park. There you go.
It's got nothing to do with your boar-sprung dirge technique, you know.
Зачем стрелочка? Чтобы разжать. Чтобы разжимать, правильно. Это зачем?
So here I am on what can only be described as a very rainy day in Kharkiv. This is a trade fair from the looks of it. A lot of people giving off all their promotions. Cadets trying to sign up people to the military. Check this out. Bomb disposal devices. Join the Ukrainian army, fight the Russians, that sort of thing. What's interesting, obviously there's a lot of normal people here, but everywhere you go in Ukraine, you see 2 or 3 men off to the side, always with earpieces on, and they are basically the bodyguards to certain VIPs that are basically going about their everyday business. The thing is, you see them everywhere. You might be going into a clothes shop. There'll be basically bodyguards standing outside the clothes shop, basically checking to see if you're dangerous or not. Bodyguards seem to be the sort of the requirements in Ukraine. There was a guy that got blown up by in a car bomb a few weeks ago in Kiev. Here, there hasn't been any problems in terms of terrorism, but assassinations, I guess people live in fear of these things, so hence they need bodyguards. But also at the same time, maybe it's a status symbol. I have 3 bodyguards, you only have 2 bodyguards. Maybe that's a status symbol, I'm not sure.
And you're the most wanted hitman in the world. My job is to keep you out of harm's way.
Shit!
So here I am in this place called Granaki. So all of this food and a drink, 109 hryvnia, that's about just over £3. So I guess in US terms it's about $3.50. Borscht, Granaki of various types and a little bit of vegetables. £3, can't really go wrong. Hey, so I'm in the Historical Museum of Kharkov, and what's interesting about museums in Kiev, you often have to pay per floor, so there's not one ticket price. So there's 4 floors in this place, and each floor, some segments cost 6 hryvnias, some segments cost 10 hryvnias. All in all, I think if you pay for the entire lot, it was going to cost you 50 hryvnias. So this is the Historical Museum of Kharkov. To put into perspective how many people Kharkov lost during World War II to the Nazis, a small city that is quite small lost 300,000 people. They were exterminated, they were hung, they were sent to concentration camps, they were burnt alive. Some of the images I've just seen are awful. Wasn't able to take pictures inside, possibly for good reason. If you put that in perspective, if Kharkov lost 300,000 people and it's just a small city in Ukraine, total dead from military and civilians in the United Kingdom was 357,000. So that's our entire country, including all our army and our civilians. This town was totally obliterated by the Nazis. Incredibly sad.
I have no idea. We just did it. So the objective of this game is to get this ring on the horn. There we go. Impressive. Look at my...
Брать меня, как женщин разного возраста и происхождения. Сам не знаю за что, я могу лишь гадать, но так уж было всегда. Но только рядом но из них я не рядом друг. Становлюсь и застенчивым, и сердце большое мое так болит и стучит внутри, что просто беда. Меня от тебя мурашит. когда не плакал.
How's this for you, Ronald? That is the soap. Water? That is it. Amazing. Just been to the chocolate shop, got myself a grenade. Nice. So, this is hanging in the toilet. The Ukrainian toilet is quite strange. This is a male chastity belt. Look at that. Look at the pain. That's quite a...
Вот мы встретились с тобой. Салам, как поживаешь, дорогой? Дай мне почас свою колючую щеку. Да я тебя покрепче обниму.
Hey, so what you just saw there was basically an army band. They're basically trying to raise awareness for the war that's going on in the eastern side of Ukraine. I'm on the south side of the city of Kharkiv now. And by the way, having spoken to so many people, Kharkiv without the K, so it's not Kharkiv, it's Kharkiv, is the Russian way of saying it, and Kharkiv is the Ukrainian way of saying it. There doesn't seem to be a preference. People seem to like either way. Given that this is towards the east of the country, people generally speak Russian here, and they sort of steer away from Ukrainian pronunciations. They probably pronounce things a little bit better than I do. So basically in the south side of the city, it's quite industrial. This is where all these sort of the cheap buses are, where you can probably get to any part of the country on these little buses. Well, certainly in the sort of, you can get to the suburbs on these buses. If you find the right bus, you can get to places like Dnipro and other cities that are sort of to the south, to the, you know, anywhere else around here. I will continue exploring. As you can see, it looks kind of similar to Kiev. It's this sort of vibe to it, you know. Standard looks the same, just a cheaper version of Kiev, really. So here I am at the top of the Ferris wheel in Gorky Park, and look at the view. And you can see the amazing autumn colours. All of these leaves are going to have to get picked up by all those amazing little ladies sweeping up the leaves. I feel sorry for them. But great views, as you can see. And yeah. See, I've been living sort of just over there, and the centre is just sort of there. And there is a roller coaster. Apparently Ukrainians call roller coasters American, which is quite bizarre. Americans do not call it roller coasters Russians. Could you imagine not being strapped in? So we've got to fire the gun into this. Yeah? Let's go. So, does this work? This is the button, yeah? Okay.
There's actual laser sight.
Oh, wow.
Come on, dance with me, move your body, your life is better.
One of the biggest problems about traveling for a long time, you're sort of quite dependent on your credit cards and bank cards. This credit card, I managed to leave in a bar last night. Thankfully, I just got it back. Good people of Ukraine still have yet to have any problems. Touch wood. There is some wood around here somewhere. There's a twig on the floor. Hopefully it won't happen, and generally the only problems I do have is just due to my carelessness. So thank you, Ukraine, for being good to me.
Интересно. Оно не сильно натирается. Ну, вы сильнее давите, можете взять кусочек побольше, да. А мы это делаем для чего? Для того, чтобы фондю потом не пригорело. Можете тоже взять.
Hey, I'll let you do this.
Take garlic. This is garlic.
This is garlic.
Okay.
So
You can take it and help me.
basically,
Дно хорошо
you can only get one hand in there. The type of cheese. Do you...
Сейчас нужно разрубить корку.
Приборский вашаран. Можете с той стороны пойти, там будет его видно лучше. Приборский вашаран, классик, 4 месяца выдержки и грuyère, и его сейчас здесь нет, грuyère майя. Это два популярных сыра в Швейцарии.
Is it ever this as well? This is
Эмменталь.
This is so it's not this. That's Englishman. Yeah. Sometimes yes, and then sometimes this one. Yeah. Sometimes.
Сколько времени уже существуют споры между Францией и Швейцарией?
Oh, God. Lovely. Let's eat some fondue.
I'm just curious.
Okay.
Sometimes you could leave England far away and it keeps following you. Here's England. Kharkiv. Winter is coming, autumn is setting in already, as you can see from the trees, so I think it's time to move on. Anyway, it's been a really good trip actually. Very much enjoyed this city. Probably the reason I managed to spend a lot of time here. Totally don't understand why it's not really on the sort of tourist map. It's I think it's the second or third biggest city in Ukraine. Someone I'm sure will be able to correct me. But it feels like a small village, small town in a way. Everyone sort of behaves quite friendly. Everyone's sort of in good spirits, and it's a really very pleasant, beautiful place. Highly recommend Kharkiv, or Kharkiv as some will say, and Kharkiv as others will say. Don't pronounce the K, it's with an H. And thanks very much. Oh, if you like this video, click subscribe. You'll get notified about the next video. Who knows where that's going to be. Off to the train station now just to see where it takes me.